From a crashed UFO to ancient Peruvian stones depicting dinosaurs, here are 10 of the strangest and most mysterious discoveries ever made. Number 10. The Flaming UFO in China. Residents of Mengchang village in China were shocked when 3 unidentified flying objects landed in a vegetable field just a few years ago. According to local reports, villagers first heard a loud booming noise and then witnessed a massive fireball shooting into the vegetable field, before ultimately discovering what can only be described as an alien ship from another world. One villager told local news that they thought it was a meteorite, and another villager claimed that at least 2 objects could be seen falling out of the sky. Unfortunately, it soon came to light that the unidentified flying objects had nothing to do with any kind of alien insurgents. It was later reported that the objects were probably part of a Russian rocket that crashed just outside of Kazakhstan, with some of the debris falling into the random Chinese vegetable field. It just so happened that the objects that broke apart from the rocket looked suspiciously like flying saucers. To the untrained eye, it was an alien invasion, but to the Russians, it was just a botched rocket. Number 9. The Enigmalith Component. The Enigmalith is one of the strangest archaeological discoveries in history. The object has been reported as 100,000 years old, and it's basically nothing but an old rock with an electrical component embedded inside of it. This obviously raises some huge questions, as nobody understands how such an old piece of stone could have such a modern piece of technology inside of it. The discovery was allegedly made back in 1998 by an electrical engineer who found the rock during a hiking trip somewhere in North America. The rock was found nowhere near any human settlements or factories. It was literally in the middle of nowhere, and the rock was found with a 3-pronged socket sticking out of it. Unfortunately, the man who allegedly discovered the rock never gave away its original location, and not very many individuals in the scientific community have taken the discovery seriously. It could just be a massive hoax, or someone could have misjudged the age of the rock. But without any follow-up, there's no telling what it is. Because of this, no proper investigation has been done to the rock, and so it's hard to say if the metallic components really are 100,000 years old, or if it's all just a great big misunderstanding. Number 8. The Betz Sphere. The Betz Mystery Sphere is a strange ball that was found by a Florida family in 1974 after their house burned down. The sphere allegedly has alien origins. It's been examined by the military and UFO enthusiasts. Most professionals claim the sphere is man-made, but some are still convinced that the small metal orb is some kind of an alien technology. This theory has a lot to do with what happened when the sphere was first discovered. The Betz family claimed that the sphere acted on its own, that it made noises, and that it acted like an autonomous cannonball. Jerry Betz even claimed that when the family dog got too close to the sphere, it would whimper and act as if in some kind of distress. But so far as the professionals were concerned, it was just a ball of metal. The US Navy investigated the orb using X-rays and found that it was definitely man-made, and even the astronomer J. Allen Hynek agreed. In the end, the strange discovery turned out to be a random ball of metal that could have come from anywhere. Have you ever discovered something bizarre? Maybe it was a weird animal bone or some type of old piece of technology. Tell me what you found in the comments. Then remember to subscribe to American Eye if you haven't already, and if you like this video, you'll love what's coming up next. Number 7. Fossilized gears. A rather strange image has been circling the internet recently, showing a collection of gears trapped inside ancient rock, making it seem as though the gears had been fossilized several million years ago. The consensus here by many astronaut theorists on the internet was that the gears were leftovers from an ancient society that had somehow gotten erased before humans had ever evolved. But as it turned out, these were not literal gears. They weren't even from machines. Instead, they were the fossils of creatures known as crinoids, ancient animals related to modern sea urchins. They just so happened to look like gears, and when a large deposit of them was found fossilized in a rock dating back nearly 400 million years, people just freaked out. There have actually been additional collections of crinoid fossils found recently that look jarringly similar to miniature Cthulhu monsters. These strange aquatic animals came in all kinds of weird shapes back when the oceans were first developing, so it's no surprise that we find them fossilized in shapes like gears and sea monsters. Number 6. The magnetic statues of Guatemala. The magnetic fat boy statues of Guatemala have been the source of much mystery ever since they were found in 1967 by a geographer named Vincent Malmstrom. These strange rock figures predate the Olmec culture that once lived in Guatemala, and researchers believe they were built by one of the earliest civilizations of Mesoamerica. The statues also suggest that the ancient civilization may have been able to understand magnetic properties. Let me tell you how. First of all, the stone figures date back about 4,000 years. Second of all, they possess magnetic properties. The statues are large with human heads and round bodies, and it's not clear whether they depicted what the ancient people who made them looked like or not. But one thing is for sure, most of the statues are magnetically charged. Each charged sculpture possesses two poles of opposite charges that together make a U-shaped magnetic field. There are about 12 of these statues in Guatemala, and 8 of them are magnetically charged. The big mystery here is how they became magnetically charged, if it was somehow a natural phenomenon, a total coincidence, or if the ancient culture had somehow figured out how to charge stone using iron. This seems impossible since iron wasn't around back then, and in any case, what could electrically charging weird statues have possibly been used for? As of now, nobody knows. Number 5. Ancient Giants. In 1974, a farmer in the Sardinia region of Italy found his plow blocked by an unusual piece of stone sticking out of the ground. It turned out that the stone was actually a giant head with human features. It was one of the Monte Prama giants and the beginning of what would be a monumental dig in Italy, uncovering underground tombs, huge stone slabs, and the leftovers of giant statues that once stood above the graves of aristocrats from the 9th century BC. In total, 16 giant statues were excavated from the ground, many of them nearly 7 feet tall. Some of them depicted warriors equipped with swords and horned helmets, some depicted archers, and some were carrying large shields over their heads. There have been over 5,000 fragments cataloged since excavations ended in 1979. The giants have been hosted at exhibitions all over the world, and to this day they're considered some of the most important archaeological relics found in the 20th century. The statues were built by the ancient Nuragic culture, which predated the rise of the Greek civilization. They were clearly the most advanced culture around the Mediterranean. Number 4. The Eye Idols. Eye idols have been found all across Turkey, Syria, and Iran. These strange idols are all eerily similar. They're small clay figurines with large, almost alien-looking eyes. They were first discovered in the 1930s during excavations at the Tel Brak site in Syria, where hundreds and hundreds of these small, wide-eyed figures were discovered inside of ancient buildings. The eyes are the most obvious feature, seeing as they are much larger than the rest of the idol's body. Many of these idols were first found inside of a structure that was later named the Temple of the Eyes, although there is yet to be any archaeological evidence that the building held a religious function. And if it did have a religious function, nobody's really sure what it was. According to information from the Louvre in Paris, most of the idols can date back to between 3700 and 3100 BC in ancient Mesopotamia, a period of time in which the first major cities began to appear. Eye idols have been discovered in graves, in domestic housing, and even used in rituals. However, nobody's entirely sure what their purpose was or why they were used in so many situations. They may have been dedicated to some kind of eye god, or they may have simply been popular decorations back during the beginning of Mediterranean society, but nobody really knows. Number 3. Sunken train wreckage. In 1910, a boulder hit a train near the Mink Tunnel and caused a speeding locomotive to dislodge from the track and plummet into Lake Superior, 65 feet. 3 people died in the incident, and one of the bodies was never found, and the train sank 200 feet, 60 meters to the very bottom of the lake, where it remained lost until just recently when an underwater recovery expert named Tom Crossman discovered the train using a remotely operated vehicle. Crossman and his team of experts managed to find the train based on sonar imaging, and they then captured footage of the strange and eerie wreckage, showing it to the world for the first time in over 100 years. The train was in pretty rough shape and was undoubtedly spooky sitting down there at the bottom of Lake Superior, but it was definitely a worthwhile endeavor. The train has yet to be recovered, but its GPS coordinates are now publicly available for any divers who want to check out the creepy wreckage. Number 2. Zombie skeletons. In more disturbing news, archaeologists have recently discovered a medieval body buried face down, and they believe that the reason for this strange burial has something to do with zombies. The excavation happened in Germany when archaeologists were investigating an ancient burial ground filled with around 340 bodies. Only one of the bodies was buried in such a peculiar position, and it was found with coins and a dagger. These artifacts allowed researchers to date the body back to sometime between 1630 and 1650. But at the time, they couldn't figure out why the person was buried face down and why nobody had robbed him of his coins and other possessions, as would have been common at the time. It wasn't until later on that new research revealed that local people may have feared this individual was going to rise from the dead and eat their flesh. The research team had to go through records, at which point they discovered that there had been several other people buried face down over the past 900 years, especially in Germany and Austria. The research team then turned to medieval folklore, in which they found tales of corpse-devouring monsters starting after the 1300s. In order to stop one of these potential monsters from returning from the dead, villagers at the time buried the possible zombie face down as a way to stop an evil spirit from possessing the body and bringing it back to life. Number 1. The dinosaur ecostones. The mysterious ecostones of Peru were apparently found in the desert. There were 50,000 of these strange stones uncovered, and about 20,000 of them can still be seen today at Dr. Javier Cabrera's private museum south of Peru's capital, Lima. Dr. Javier Cabrera was allegedly the one who found all these stones, and the reason for their mystery is simple. The stones depict thousands of images that would suggest that the ancient people who carved them had intimate knowledge of the Earth's history. Some of the black stones were found carved with images of dinosaurs, including what appeared to be stegosauruses, triceratopses, and even Tyrannosaurus rexes. However, the dinosaur carvings look like they were made by children based on characters from a cereal box. It seems impossible that ancient people could have figured out what dinosaurs looked like way before modern paleontologists. It's even more unlikely that a single rock would have had generalized images of such popular dinosaurs all clustered together. The harsh reality is that the ecostones were probably a hoax. Some stones show images of ancient people using telescopes, some have images of complex brain surgery, and there are all kinds of other simply unbelievable depictions that definitely could not have been carved by people thousands of years ago unless they'd seen into the future. But of course, that hasn't stopped some supposed experts from claiming that there was an advanced society in the Ica region of Peru who were familiar with astronomy, medicine, and paleontology. It also hasn't stopped the museum near Lima from displaying the Ica stones to curious visitors. Which of these amazing discoveries was the strangest of all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and come back soon for another amazing video right here on American Eye.